Hey everyone, today I'm going to walk through my complete trading setup. This isn't the final version. I'm constantly improving it, but if you're using ChartsWatcher or CPRO or you're a new beginner trader kind of trying to figure out your setup, I think this could really save you a lot of time getting organized. Later, I'll make dedicated videos on each piece in much more detail. So let's start with what I will cover in this video. So these are the areas that I will generally cover: desktop and hardware, ChartsWatcher, CPRO platform, and workflows and extras. I'll have timestamps to certain areas here. My goal is to show my complete trading setup, explain why it's organized this way, and provide ideas that you can use to build or improve your own trading workspace. So here's my workspace. This is a general picture of my desk. I have three monitors. This is just a little travel monitor. I really love these monitors. I have a few of them for whenever I travel, of course, because I do travel quite a bit. Um, and then two main bigger displays. I think that's especially important for the main display. If you can get a relatively big monitor, this one's 32 inch, this one's 28 inch. I keep the candlestick pattern reference here. This is the emotional regulation PDF by Tom Hugard style. And then this is, of course, my day trading live journal. So all those resources are in the description as well. So I also use Mac Mini M4. I think it's a great computer for the price, especially. I do kind of wish I got a laptop version just for some other things for like school and stuff. But if you don't need to travel with it too much, um, and like go work at a coffee shop or something like that, like I still travel with this if I'm gone for like a couple days or a week. And it's super easy to take this and then the travel monitors. I use just the Apple keyboard and then a Logitech vertical ergonomic mouse, I believe. It's a super comfortable mouse. I highly recommend it. So this is what my hotkeys look like on my keyboard. So I did put layers of tape. So I got Scotch tape, cut it up, put pieces down here, taped over them, put a sticky note of like what the letter was and then what it does on top, and then taped over it again. So these help with feel a lot, which is something that um, has actually really been helpful to me. I always know where my fingers are at now. And today I did accidentally make a mistake of buying when I meant to sell. You could see down here. But I think this does truly help a lot. So we'll go into more detail on my hotkeys later, but this is generally how I have them set up. I have my pinky on shift and then my main fingers go across these, kind of like you're playing a video game, honestly. So it's really comfortable for me. Um, so yeah, let's get into the ChartsWatcher setup first. So I think this is probably what people are gonna benefit the most from. I haven't really planned too much, so we'll see how it goes. This is my setup for my main screen. So I love to really only need to look at one screen for the most part. My extra screens are for, side charts for like overall market sentiment, seeing what some other stocks are doing. And for news, I use on the bottom chart a lot. But this is mostly like if you were to just have this, I could trade off this without any issue, off just one screen. So I find that very helpful. Um, so let's go into Windows, I guess. Or let me start by doing this. So I will share my export configuration for all of the configurations in the description. So if you copy this code, it'll be in the description. You'll be able to import my setup, how it is, all the windows, everything like that. And before I start getting into that too much, I'd like to show that you can also go to ChartsWatcher on Discord under the Share Your ChartsWatcher setup, there's a lot of people who have great setups and they share them and they share the codes, especially for ScottGo. If you're looking for a Ross Cameron style, mine is pretty much based off his with some tweaks to make it easier for myself. But highly recommend joining this ChartsWatcher Discord, completely free, and getting set up there. Um, Now, in this page, the settings page, a couple things that I think are really important, really just one thing, is to disable chart labels price. This first one, I just find it a little bit annoying when what this means is if something were to hit my high day momentum scanner and I were to click on it, as soon as I pull up the chart in any area, um, it'll have this like text box, like a text box up here. And it really gets in the way. So if you're ever dealing with that issue, disable that one in settings. We're going to go into my windows now. So I have this one for the main screen. Below, I have this as left, but it's actually, I personally use it as below right now. I have a couple extra things. So I have my news feed longer. So at the top or bottom of the hour, when things are popping up with news, I can read it easily. I have the news for the ticker I'm looking at right here. This is a scanner I made called the Blue Sky Setup, which is super nice. You can actually see that we have a stock on it right now. I'll show you that in a second. But it's super nice. So it'll say Blue Sky 4, and then the stock will pop up. Top gainers here, just extra top gainers, more extended so I can read everything and see. And then during market hours, I kind of move this window around, but I have halts here and resumptions. So yeah, these are the only two windows that I really use a lot. Um, as you can see, if you import it, you can kind of go through these and see kind of what you like. There are just other ones I was working on before I decided to use ChartsWatcher on the same screen as my broker. So like for this one, I would have this above my broker and then my broker would be on a screen below, with extra charts and stuff. So you can go through these if you import, and I'll probably clean them up at some point and make them a little bit better. But this is the main one that I personally use. So one thing that should be super helpful is I'm going to go through all of my configs now. So I personally use the ones with the dollar signs on them. So I'll kind of show you which ones I use the most, but I use halts sometimes. These are just some extras, and I'll probably make some more. But here, small cap, high of day momentum scanner, you can import this. I think you can just like tap add window, and then this will be an option under the alerts. Here is my 5 pillars catalyst. You can kind of go through the alerts, then the filters for each thing. This is my favorite scanner. I find it really helpful. Find it super helpful. So whenever a stock hits this scanner, I can pretty much click it, and as long as like the chart looks good, all my other checks have been done. So that's super nice. It just speeds up the process a little bit. You'll see I don't really have anything else in these other than, let's look at the column section. So for all of my scanners, I have time, country, symbol, day since news icon, price, float, relative 5-minute percent, daily volume, relative daily volume, alert, and strategy. So it just makes it super easy to see, if a stock meets the price requirements, the float requirements, relative volume requirements, all that. But I have this consistently throughout all my other scanners, other than like the niche ones like Blue Sky Setup and stuff like that. Now let's go to the running up scanner. So here's the alerts on it. One thing I will note is that I mean, you can see 5 pillars, custom text to speech, message system, 5 pillars. So let's listen to this right here, right? 5 pillars AAPL. So that's really nice. I hear 5 pillars AAPL or whatever the ticker is. So I'd highly recommend that 5 pillars or small cap high day momentum or both. You enable custom text to speech. On running up, I only have running up as the text to speech. Just because I find it a little bit less important to my strategy. Like it's still important if a stock hits it, I'll still try to pull it up, but I don't want it to be too distracting. So here's my settings for the alerts. For the filter, so you can see this is a slightly wider filter than say on the 5 pillars. You can alter it a lot. Like you can make this just 1 to 20 or 1 to 10. You can go in there and change it, but I like this just because it makes it, you know, I don't know. It just makes me feel, it gives me a better feel on other stocks that are moving, even if they don't quite meet my criteria, because it helps give me a feel for like dispersed attention and stuff like that also. Nor list, here's the columns. As you can see, it's pretty much the exact same. And you'll see that for all my scanners. So yeah, yep. And then I don't actually use this one, but you might find it helpful. I'm not positive what it does even. Halts, if you trade market hours, this could be really helpful for you. Here's the columns. You could change the columns around. Here's the column section. Here's the alert section, just halt. You could do resume also, and make that on the same scanner. I have it on 2 different ones. The filter, so you want to make it close to the 5 pillars, but not, up to you. I make it slightly off of the 5 pillars, just slightly wider. So I kind of self-filter them a little bit. Then here's resumptions. Very similar. Columns. Yeah. And then blue sky setup. This is one that's really awesome. I custom made. It's super nice. So blue sky AAPL. AAPL blue sky. So say AAPL blue sky. That is nice. And as you can see, it's very similar to all my other ones. The only difference is I have this IPO, day since IPO. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And then I don't know if I went through these yet. Filters. Okay. And then alerts. So you can customize all these, but these are generally the ones that I use. Whenever you like start with ChartsWatcher, you get like a basic high day. You could easily customize this to be very similar to the small cap high day momentum. So yeah, now I use this one. So the top gainers. There's others like low float top gainers, but these are the top gainers. So generally, it's just a very basic top gainer scanner. Very similar to anything else. I have it, very similar to all my other scanners. Same kind of setup. The only thing is I moved the change all the way up because I want it to be on the left, and then symbol type. Yeah. Um, watch lists, I don't use those very much. Colors will be helpful. Once again, the ones that I use typically are the ones with the dollar sign. Relative daily volume. Um, I don't really use that one very much. I don't use this one very much. This is percent change. Total volume. Relative volume. Float. Price. This is IPO, so days since IPO. And then short interest. So you can, and then market cap I have just for the profile widget. So you can customize all those however you like. I like these colors because say for price, right? My typical like best price range is from like 2 to 12 or so, just about this area right here. If it's a little bit more expensive, I will still trade sometimes. I generally don't like to trade anything over 20 or under 1. So you can see like we're not quite at 2, so I'm gonna have it a little bit lighter. We're at 2, which is fine, but still a little bit cheap. 3 is like a sweet spot. 5 to 8 is kind of a sweet spot also. So they're a little darker and then it lightens up. And then as it gets more expensive, it goes red. So you'll kind of see that in all of them. Now I guess we can go over to news feeds. News feeds, they're pretty similar. Really, you can go through all this if you want. But they're like keywords to point out. So whenever a news pops up, you'll see like the words in green, and I don't know, it just makes it a little bit easier to read the news. But they're honestly not the most important things ever. So you can kind of figure out all these on your own. There's kind of a lot of them. Yeah, and some of them probably are not really useful or anything, but that's okay. So newsfeed, this can be helpful, especially for like super keywords, AI. Whenever we're going through SpaceX, um, highlight that, of course. Then this is the stock info. Boom, you can see I have market cap on it right now because there's news that stocks below 5 million market cap are going to be moved to the OTC market at some point soon. So I would generally rather stay away from those for the time being. Not always, but generally. And then stock quote, which I don't use because it's pretty much the same as stock info. Stock news. News. This is the same thing. Um, things to highlight in the news. This is actually more important than the other one maybe, but it's pretty much the same. So, put good keywords in green, bad keywords in red or something like that. So yeah, those are the configs. That probably took a while. If you're importing, you don't really need to go through all those. You can change them. But now is the more fun part. So now we get to see kind of what it looks like in action. So you'll see that these columns are a little bit kind of squished just because I don't need them to be huge, but we could obviously spread out. So this is my top gainers. You'll see, of course, country symbol, Dayson's news icon. I love this so much. This is better than the other flames, my opinion. Price, float, 5-minute volume, daily volume, all that. So you can see whenever a price is too cheap, it's highlighted differently. Whenever it's too expensive, it's here, right? And then the sweet spot is going to be this dark blue. And that kind of goes for all of this. The sweet spot is the dark blue. The white is like, it's okay. It could get there, you know? And then the red is like, it's probably too high, you know? Now, short interest, I'm not too sure about. You could probably say that even like high short interest is fine. You don't need to um, make it red or yellow. So I don't pay too much attention to it. Mostly, these are the columns that I'm the most concerned about whenever a stock pops up with breaking news and I want to trade it: the price, the float, and the 5-minute relative volume. So when the 5-minute relative volume is really high, that is a great sign that people are responding to the news. And then obviously the chart has to look good. There has to be enough liquidity to get in and out. Um, I used to focus a ton on the daily volume. I still think it's important, but whenever you're in pre-market, generally my rule of thumb is like if a stock has over 100,000 shares of volume in pre-market, then I'm willing to trade it. Could be a little bit less, you know, obviously can be more, but I found that whenever I did like the 5 times relative volume, daily relative volume, I was just getting in things way too late. Um, so as a beginner, be careful that 5-minute volume is going to be your friend to see what's moving and what's not. So these 3 columns are the same on pretty much everything. You'll see small cap, high day momentum. So these ones are in blue. So this is a symbol that I would probably be willing to trade as long as it had enough, 100,000 shares of volume. And then of course, if the chart was good and I could find an entry, the spread wasn't too big. So that's generally, you know, kind of my workflow. This is the stock info widget. Um, you can see there, it's very similar thing just laid out there. 5 pillars catalyst. It looks pretty much the same. There's nothing hitting it right now, so I can't really show it, but it's pretty similar to the high day momentum. It's just a little bit more narrowed in to those 5 pillars, of course. So yeah, and what should we go through next? Should we go through, let's go through the charts next. So these are my charts. There's a couple chart settings I think are super important. Number one, have the log on for the daily chart because this is super hard to see any resistance here. Like this stock right now is like 2.65. You can't see where the pivot is, but if you do log in auto, you can see much clearer. So it just makes this area, you know, this range is $1.50, or the same range next is going to be 3, of course. So it's a logarithmic scale. On the daily chart, these are the indicators that you're going to want. You're going to want the volume for sure. You're going to want the 9 EMA for sure, or not the 9 EMA, sorry, the 200 EMA. You're going to want this 52-week high and low is helpful because sometimes it can indicate that there's a blue sky setup. Obviously, you will want to scroll back because if the stock is older than 52 weeks, it might not be a blue sky. But those are the indicators that I find really helpful. In the drawing box, this is the same on all my charts. I have these ones that you can see here. So you can go into these, you can hit the star on them and they'll pop up into this, and you can move that down and still close this just to give you some more space. And of course you can draw on it. Do all these. Also the hotkeys, ChartsWatcher does use hotkeys for these drawing tools. So those were the blue on my keyboard. You can probably easily figure those out. It's option plus different things. So like if I do option T, it'll start a trend line there. If I do option H, it'll be a horizontal line. Option J, it's this ray, horizontal ray. So yeah, but these are the drawing tools that I find the most helpful. Those are the indicators for the daily chart. The other charts, I have the same indicators on all of them. Other than the MACD, I do have on the 1 minute. But on all my charts, I have this open, high, low, close. I keep this. As long as your charts are big enough, it's nice to see all this information. But if you don't want to see it, you can fold it and you can actually change. I think it's through here. You can like change which shows for as far as these details. So if that gets in the way, you can easily change those. But on all my charts, I use volume, 9 EMA, 20 EMA, and then the ChartsWatcher view app. I find that more accurate than the other ones. On this one, I also use the MACD here. You'll find all these indicators here. MACD, I don't use a signal line just because I find it looks a little bit cleaner like this. One thing that I will say is pretty important is to have auto on for all these charts. And honestly, just try not to like mess with them too much. It is, easy to just keep them here. And then you can Option R and refresh them and, reset them to a better view, right? So, yep, that's helpful. Let's go into the chart setting. These are pretty much the same for all my charts. I think you could definitely find these to be helpful. Of course, the candles, green and red. Include extended hours. You can change the backgrounds here, like that. Precision, time zone. I don't really like the logo to stay on there. I have the title set to ticker, open market, symbol. You can have the volume there. You can have that if you want to. I don't personally have it because I have it up here. Indicator titles, inputs, values, background, visible and mouse over. So all these settings are helpful. High and low settings, day of the week labels, background. So these ones are, I find, a little more important. Have your session breaks on and have it white with a kind of thicker one. Grid lines, you're gonna want the horizontal grid lines. I believe they're really helpful. And have them lighter than the vertical ones. I still do have the vertical ones. Just because sometimes on the 10-second it can be nice because it shows the whole minutes. So I find that helpful. Crosshair, you can change that however you want. I don't like to have the watermark on my charts because I have them up here. Scales, navigation panes, margins. I like to have a decent margin on the top, a 10%. I want to have a smaller margin on the right because I want it to be close to the axis. And then on the bottom, I have a little bit, so it's not overlapping with the volume too much. So yeah, one thing I will say about the volume, I think I can, let me figure out how to change these settings here. Yep, settings, so volume settings, I don't have the MAs on, but I set these to like kind of a neon color. I just find it to be more visually, it just stands out to me more, as you can see here. And it's not the same color as the chart, so that whenever they do overlap, if they do, you can still see the difference a little bit. So find that helpful. And then the occupancy, I have them set to 100%, but you could set them a little bit lighter. Yep. Visibility, of course, just keep all those default. 90 MA I like to have in white, 200, just because it stands out a lot. 20 I like to have in blue, VWAP I like to have in orange. I think those are really all of the important settings for the charts. Let me check to make sure I'm not missing anything for my ChartsWatcher. Yeah, I mean, I think that's that. I think that's it for ChartsWatcher. So I hope you guys can use this and will find it helpful. Remember, auto is your friend. Logarithmic auto on the daily chart is definitely your friend. One of the super nice things about ChartsWatcher is you have this API. So as you could see there, whenever I click on a symbol, it will pop it and type it in wherever I want. So that's really nice to set up. I have, of course, ChartsWatcher, and that's, or not ChartsWatcher, CPRO platform, and that's really the only reason why I have this widget. So now let's switch over to CPRO platform. It is a direct access broker overseas. Minimum account size is like 1 or 200 bucks. You do pay, I think it's $30 a month for level 2 market data. And yeah, it's a decent platform. I struggled to use it all on its own. But with ChartsWatcher, I think it's good and the executions are really good. But how I have this set up here is we can take away this Weeble widget for now. We'll just move that. I have this set up. I have two different tabs really. So this is for after the open, just because I have the limit up, limit down. This is for pre-market. I usually trade pre-market. I have them all set to green, of course, and linked because green is good. Yep, on your chart, you're going to want to have similar set. I'll just show you my settings. Let me actually move this real quick. I'll be right back. Um, okay, so the CPRO platform unfortunately will show your account info up here, and there's nothing you can really do about it, which is really annoying. But if you like take videos, you will need to cover it. But yeah, these are my settings for the chart. Sessions, padding. You know, of course, you can change the time frame a bit. They don't have a 10-second chart, which is really annoying. They have a 5-second chart, but they have, you know, pretty much any other chart that you could want. I have MACD, of course, volume, boom. These I do like to have a lot. I simply go over here, do a price line, set price line, change it to gray, and I set that half whole dollars, and they link to all of the different symbols. So no matter what you pull up, you'll see the chart lines here. I have them only up to 20, but yeah, that's nice. It's a decent platform. I'll show my hotkeys just because I think that's what you guys will get the most benefit out of. Trading hotkeys. Here's my hotkeys. So I buy at the ask with a offset limit, and I sell. These are my profit target ones. So all these three profit targets. So this sells $1 above the ask. So your order will sit there on the ask for a while, but that's good because you usually get way better fills, especially if it's something with a big spread. Cancel all open orders. That's just so I can cancel those. And then to close positions, you have to use the position tab. But yeah, those are my hotkeys. I don't use time and sales like on my main setup over here because I find it to be really glitchy. It's slow. Um, it flashes. It's not like most other time and sales. I really don't enjoy using it at all. I usually just get analysis paralysis or anything if I use it. So yeah, that is my CPRO platform. It's pretty simple. You know, then if I'm only trading on CPRO and I didn't have ChartsWatcher, I would generally set it up something like this. So you got the 1 minute chart. You got your 5 minute chart over here. I would add a 5 second chart. I don't know why it's down here. I would generally put that up here. Level 2, time and sales. So yeah, be right back so I can move this. So, yep, and then we're back. So that's pretty much my setup. I do use something that I will make a video on in the future is I use this app called HammerSpoon, and I'll just show you what it does real quick. Oh my goodness, I never got into what my other screens looked like in depth. I'll go over that real quick. I'm sorry, this video is probably so chaotic, but um, on my screen to the right, I have Weeble there, and then OBS, which you can't see because my OBS settings are off, but I have those on that screen. This is how I have my Weeble set up. I have a couple different ones here. If I were to only be like actively trading on it, this is generally the setup that I think I would use. So maybe that's helpful to somebody checking out Weeble. But yeah, Weeble's a pretty good broker for commission-free trading, and it looks a lot more like most other brokers. My broker's kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. And then the bottom screen, I have this, of course, and then I have my journal, which shows all my metrics and stuff, so you can see where my metrics are at. I'm struggling right now. Mostly it's just execution. Like I sell my winners too soon, which is why I've implemented profit targets. And this has actually increased quite a bit, especially recently. But yeah, so I keep those down. Um, Below there. Okay, so we were gonna do one other thing. Okay, yes, HammerSpoon. So I can't really share the code too much, but on Mac OS, I'll show you what it does. So on this is on all three of my screens. We're only gonna see it on this one. I can easily quit all my apps with one button, right? Can easily quit all the apps with one button, and then reload, so that goes away. And then if I go Command Shift T, then it will open all my apps and they'll put them in the right locations. So that is really, really awesome. I'm not sure how well it's going to work right now because I am recording using OBS, so it might glitch, but it's doing all this like on its own. I'll share that setup in the future, but I found it super helpful because I just press Command Shift T in the mornings and it saves me like, you know, 5 to 10 minutes of getting everything set up and all that. So if you're on Mac OS, I'll definitely check it out. I'll share my code in a future video, or the code that I use. You'll have to change it up a little bit. You can pretty much just put it in AI, tell it like where um your monitor sizes and all that stuff. And then if I'm using an app like CPRO and you're not using this, you can change it. But I also love it because whenever I'm not clicked into my broker, it's red. When I am clicked in, it's green. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. That'll be the video. I'm sorry it's kind of long, kind of choppy. Um, really appreciate you watching it. Check out the description for a bunch of great resources, and if you do sign up for ChartsWatcher, I would appreciate it if you use my affiliate link. Obviously, you don't have to, but you are more than welcome to if you want to support. So, thank you guys for watching. God bless. I will see you guys in another video. Let me know in the comments anything I can improve, anything you want to see as far as setups, Yeah, check out our day trading community called Day Traders Hangout on WAP. If you ever need help setting anything up like that, you can message me there or just comment on one of my videos. So, thank you guys. See you later. Stay safe.